Alright, let's see if we can actually close this case once and for all. February 25th, 9:47 a.m. District Court, Defense Lobby number 2. This is a defense lobby, alright, but there's no defendant. I've been trying to reach Alana all morning. Where could she be? And where's Emma, for that matter? It almost seems as if something's been happening behind the scenes. Something's been happening behind the scenes. Edworth! Knowing you, you've already figured it out. Who the owner of the 777-7777 ID number is. That is... Well, I have a pretty strong hunch. Looks like I'm not the only one who figured it out. You know, the only reason this trial didn't reach a verdict yesterday is because there was still room for doubt regarding this ID record. If that number doesn't belong to whom you suspect, then no doubt will remain. After all, he hasn't been officially charged with anything. True, not yet. In any event, once all doubts has been removed from that list, I can call for a ruling. 5 minutes, Wright, and Chief Prosecutor Skye will be found guilty. But she didn't do it! I figured you'd say as much. That's why I came here, to hear what you have to say. The first time he's ever done something like this. Lana's hiding something, and the only way we'll ever know the truth is to draw it out of her. The truth. Everything goes back to the SL9 incident. Don't be stupid. Today's the last day of the trial. We don't have time to reminisce about the past. That depends on you. If she's found guilty, you'll lose your only chance to find out what really happened. I was thinking about it. See you in court, right? Yeah, because he wants to know about all that forged evidence as well. This is it. If I'm ever gonna find out about what Chief Gant has on her, it's now. "10 a.m. at District Courtroom number 9. We're back in number 9. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. Normally this is when the prosecution puts forth its opening statement. But before that, the police chief has a proposal to make. Chief Gant. Morning, folks! How's everybody doing? Archie! Been back to the pool yet? No, I've been drowning enough as it is in my work. Haha, that's a good one! Didn't think I could top that. Don't think I can top that. If you don't mind me asking, Chief, exactly what is this proposal of yours? Lana, that is to say the defendant, has asked me if she could speak directly to the court. She wants to do what? Having heard what she intends to say, I feel she should be granted her request. In the end, it should save everyone a lot of time and trouble. Yeah, the chief of police is being really scummy here. What's this all about, defendant? I just like to make one more simple request, and it'll be finished. Well then, what is your request? Your Honor, I'd like you to put an immediate end to this trial. Huh? I confess to all charges against me. On February 21st of this year, I murdered Detective Bruce Goodman in the underground parking lot of Prosecutor's office. No! Lana! You can't! Your Honor, the defendant's claims does not change the defense's plea. In that case, Mr. Wright, I no longer require your services. But Lana! Your Honor, I hereby forfeit my right to an attorney. The prosecution may lack direct evidence against me, but it has sufficiently proven its case through testimony and circumstantial evidence. I would like you to render your verdict now, if you please. Well, the defendant certainly has the right to self-representation. The request is legally valid, although this is an unprecedented situation. Indeed, it appears there is no further need to continue this trial, even if Mr. Wright may feel otherwise. This can't be happening! It appears the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant... One moment, Your Honor. Mr. Edgeworth? The prosecution has not yet proven the defendant guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Any ruling at this stage would certainly be premature. Come now, Worthy! I understand this is a difficult time for you, but why don't you just be a good little boy and keep your mouth shut, I don't think I care for your tone, Chief Gant. What? Creating another fabrication to cover up your past mistakes? Sorry, but I am no longer the naive little boy you would have me to be. With this sudden confession from the defendant, it is obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes. Some kind of deal, Never. Not everyone operates as you do, Worthy. I thought so. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to change its first witness. Oh, to whom? As its first witness, the prosecution would like to call Miss Emma Skye. I request the court hears her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, I am exercising my right to self-representation. I don't think we need to continue. I don't care what you think, Miss Skye. The exposure of truth sometimes results in tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it would be an even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it. Very well, the court shall grant the prosecution's request. That's okay with you, right, Chief Gant? Worthy! You'll live to regret this, mark my words. Miss Emma Skye, please take the stand. Looks like Edgeworth has decided to take the horse by the reins. Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation.
My name is Emma Skye. My occupation, I'm Lana's little sister, and I want to be a scientific investigator.
2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Dark of the Joe Dark killings. Is this correct?
Yes. I'm trying my hardest to forget about that, though.
I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to recall those events one more time. Mr. Edgeworth, please remember this trial concerns the murder of Detective Goodman. It is an incident that resolved 2 years ago, is an incident that was resolved 2 years ago really all that relevant? Yes, it most certainly is. Well, okay then. He sure gives in fast. Now, please testify about what happened to you 2 years ago. The trap to yesteryear has finally begun. It's bound to lead to the truth behind this trial.
I was waiting in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me, but I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest.
But wait, he got stabbed in the back. It's a good thing you weren't harmed.
I passed out. I don't remember much.
That's understandable. However, please tell me again, Mr. Edgeworth, what does this testimony have to do with Detective Goodman's murder? That will soon become apparent, Your Honor. You've got to admire him for his courage, considering he has no evidence. Very well, the defense may begin its cross-examination. Yeah, I think I already know. I need to go look at the report. Stabbed in the back. Yes, and she said stabbed in the chest. Still, I like to press everything. 2 years ago, the defendant was a detective at the police department, correct?
Yes, she was second in command of the Deputy Chief of Police Gant. My sister, she was the best detective ever.
Yes, I remember. Deputy Chief Gant and Miss Skye used to be quite the pair. I believe they shared the same office.
That's right. I'd always sit at my sister's desk and dream about playing that organ. I wanted to play it that day too.
The police department and the prosecutor's office held a ceremony that day.
Lana promised to take me to dinner after she finished her work. A man came running in, tried to take me hostage.
A man?
Yes, Joe Dock. He was, a serial killer.
Joe Dock was brought in for questioning on the day of that ceremony. On the day of the ceremony, he was desperate to get anything... We were desperate to get anything on him that would lead to an arrest. I am really out of it today, wow. When he saw his chance, he fled to the room, right? Upon fleeing to the room, Doc proceeded to take the elevator. He must have been in a panic because the elevator was going up. Then he ran into Sky and Gant's office.
There was a lot of noise coming from outside, so I opened up the door to have a look. That's when I saw him.
Neil Marshall rescued me.
What was the prosecutor doing there?
That day, there were two people present during Doc's questioning. Deputy Chief Damon Gant and Prosecutor Neil Marshall.
No one forgot about Gant.
Neil Marshall had just received the King of Prosecutors Award. Young and dedicated, he was straight to the questioning room after the ceremony. I assume that was why he was the first you wanted to talk, after Doc.
When Doc grabbed me, I thought I was good as dead.
And that's when Prosecutor Marshall came running in.
I don't clearly remember what happened then, but
I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. Can you tell us about that?
Mr. Marshall jumped on Doc just then. The lights went out.
The lights?
It was just about this time of the year. There was this terrible storm going on and lightning struck nearby. So the electricity went out.
Wait a minute. If it was pitch dark in the room, you shouldn't have been able to see anything, right?
Right, but just then lightning flashed outside again. Then the sudden flash left an unforgettable image of the scene in my mind.
I see.
I told the detective about what I saw then.
The detective?
Yes, Detective Goodman. He was in charge of the case.
Detective Bruce Goodman. The victim. So you spoke with Detective Goodman about this 2 years ago?
Yes, and that's what's so scary about this trial.
And you told Detective Goodman about what you saw?
Yes, but at the time, the words just wouldn't come out. That's why I drew a picture.
Picture?
Yes, I think she mentioned that before.
Well, Mr. Wright, have you heard enough?
No.
This picture the witness drew, I believe it has a very important meaning. But the list of evidence I was given 2 years ago did not contain a picture. Witness, would you mind if we added this statement to your testimony?
Yes, Your Honor.
I drew a picture of the scene once, but it seems to have been lost. You drew a picture of the scene you witnessed, right?
Yes, I wanted to do everything I could to help the investigation. I can still see it now whenever I close my eyes.
That's strange. I took over the case after Prosecutor Marshall died. Yet I never received any picture. Perhaps the witness is mistaken?
But I drew it, I swear! I'm not just imagining it! This picture that Emma drew, that reminds me. I guess I should check the evidence again.
Well, anyways, let's continue. The scene that implied an image into your mind. Can you please describe it to us?
The man raised his knife and it stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest!
That must have been a real shock.
Even now, when I close my eyes, I can still see it just as clearly.
Tell us. What were you doing at that moment? I believe you testified that Joe Dock was holding you hostage.
When the lightning struck and the lights went out, Mr. Marshall jumped on Doc and was thrown aside, and the two began wrestling each other. I'm pretty sure I was watching them.
Emma doesn't have any reason to lie, but Lana sure does. I need to get Emma to tell as much as she can. Okay. Oh, shoot. Okay, first off, I want to present the fact that Your Honor, but it does! The chest and the back are different. The chest is the front, the back is, well, the back. So that's annoying to me. That in the back, not the chest. Mr. Edgeworth, this little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. And yet you would insist on denying its existence. Hey, I'm not the bad guy. All I'm saying is that, as the prosecutor for that case, I wasn't handed such a picture. That may well be, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Behold, this is the evidence list from the SL9 incident. Please turn it over, Your Honor. Ah! What's this? Yes, what is that?
Hey! That's it! That's the picture I drew!
Indeed. Two men appear to be wrestling here. What is the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list?
Me?
Only the prosecutor in charge should have access to that list. These lists, they're different from each other. What? It would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These two lists fit together to form one. You can see the marks here where they were torn apart from each other. So you see, Mr. Edgeworth, it is quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half of the evidence in that case ever reached you. What? What? Order! Order! But, Miss Skye, why did you draw your picture on the back of such an important list?
Because that's what Detective Goodman handed me in the questioning room, Your Honor.
Wait a minute. If this list was torn in half, then that means... Your Honor! Oh, you're right, Mr. Wright. Your eyes are bulging from your head. If the evidence list was torn in half, then there might be more of the drawing on the back of Mr. Edgeworth's list. Yes, that is quite conceivable, Mr. Edgeworth. It's possible, let's... Is something wrong? Do you even have to ask? Sorry, Your Honor. There is indeed something drawn on the back of my list. Is that thing? Oh, that's a trophy, though! That's a trophy, not the actual thing. That thing? That thing that was dancing in the evidence room. Clearly, this is an act of vandalism. This act of vandalism is a work of a certain chief of detectives. I guess he was out of scrap paper. Evidence list was restored and updated to the court record. Very well, witness. Will you please testify on this picture you drew 2 years ago?
Huh? Oh, yes, sir, Your Honor.
What's wrong with Emma? She seemed to be thinking about something when she was looking at the picture. Ah, my foot, my toes just cramped up on me. Ow!
This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was so bright, all I could see was shadows. After that, I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant.
A single flash of lightning could burn such an image into your mind.
Thanks to that, though, she was able to show us exactly what she saw.
Well, I don't see any contradictions here. This clearly shows Joe Dark about to murder prosecutor Neil Marshall. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Emma's picture. Hold on.
Oh wait, is it not? No, I want to say it's this.
Because the two things would be the handle, and she could just be interpreting the top part. Because the idea that it's actually this... I don't know if you guys heard that, but it just scared me in the background. The idea that it would be this, I don't buy. Especially when it's turned around. I mean, unless it's supposed to be from a different angle, but... Picture I drew 2 years ago. Did you draw this picture right after the incident? I think I drew it 2 or 3 days later. At first I was in such a state of shock that I couldn't do anything. During that time, the investigation team was reorganized. Detective Goodman was placed in charge, under the directions of Damon Gant and Lana Scott. 2 or 3 days later. The memory should have been fresh in our mind. Excuse me, witness. Can you please tell us why this picture is painted all black? The flash of lightning was so bright all I could see was shadows. So at the time you didn't even know if it was Mr. Marshall who had come to your rescue? No, I couldn't see him clearly. The lightning was so bright, and I was knocked to the floor. You were knocked to the floor? Doc had a tight grip on me, but when Mr. Marshall jumped on him, I was knocked away. I turned around, and that's when I saw the lightning flashed. Poor Emma. I'm just glad she wasn't hurt. What happened after the lightning flashed? After that, I must have fainted. You mean you didn't see the actual murder take place? No, I'm sorry. The flash of lightning only drove off the darkness for a split second. Not only that, but the trauma of the situation understandably caused the witness to faint. Do you really need to torture this girl any further? What? Hey, I'm not the bad guy here! Anyways, this picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant. Sorry for asking so many times, but are you sure you drew exactly what you saw? Of course! This is the exact scene! If it wasn't influenced in any way from your talks with the detectives... Are you insinuating we somehow manipulated her memory, Mr. Wright? No, of course not. I better watch out or he might actually find some way to cut my salary. I drew this picture before I heard anything from the detectives, so I don't think anyone's story would have influenced me. Mr. Wright, is there something that bothers you about this picture? Huh? Well... That's strange. She claims it's exactly the scene that was imprinted in her mind, and yet, it's clearly a contradiction here. Could it be the knife? I think it's the knife, but I want to be safe. Considering that whole stabbed in the chest, stabbed in the back fiasco. I want to check to see what else I got. Oh, he doesn't have his hat! That's one thing. Then again, the hat could have always fallen off. No, it's not the knife. And it's not the photo, not the hat. Okay, blah 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 blah. Huh. Near the scene was Neil Marshall, day at the time, between 7 and 7:30, cause of death, a single stab wound piercing the heart and lung. Died from blood loss in up to 10 minutes. Weapon was found in the wound. Was missing tip. Okay. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this picture the witness drew contradicts a blatant contradiction. What? But I still remember it just like it was yesterday. Mr. Wright, Perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out this contradiction to us. What part of this picture contradicts the report? The knife? The contradiction, of course, lies here.